In this lesson, we will look at some of the health problems facing us all, but also some of the particular health risks facing a pilot. These problems include food hygiene, diet, body mass index, illnesses caught in tropical climates, the dangers of toxic materials, smoking and drinking. Let us start by looking at some of the particular problems affecting pilots. We have already looked at some of the difficulties affecting the ear, caused by pressure imbalance. Pressure imbalances can also occur in other parts of the body, namely the sinus, the intestine, and the teeth. The pain caused by air pressure is called barotrauma, from the Greek baros, which means weight. The sinuses, lined with mucus glands, are air spaces within the bones of the face that connect to the nasal cavity through narrow channels. The sinuses are subject to variations in ambient air pressure, but normally this pressure can be equalized by venting through the nasal cavity. Unlike the middle ear, however, there is no method of doing this voluntarily. That is, the Valsalva maneuver does not work on the sinuses. During an ascent, a decrease in ambient pressure leads to an expansion of the gases in the sinuses. Air pressure is equalized naturally by a flow of air out of the sinuses. During the descent, the reverse takes place. An increase in ambient pressure leads to a contraction of the gases in the sinuses. Air pressure is equalized naturally by a flow of air into the sinuses. This system works well, unless the sinuses and the narrow ducts are obstructed with mucus, perhaps due to a cold. When this happens, the balancing process does not work as well or at all, especially during the descent, and pain can be experienced. The pain, which normally starts around the eyes, spreading to the temples, can be so severe as to render the pilot quite incapable of maintaining control of the aircraft. The immediate treatment is to return, if possible, to an altitude where the pain began. Most cases of sinus barotrauma can be managed with nasal decongestant sprays, but persistent problems may need surgery to clear blocked passages. Aerodontalgia is the toothache caused by the expansion of gas within the pulp chamber of the tooth, where the nerve is located, during an ascent, as ambient pressure reduces. The source of gas in the teeth may be air-trapped between the tooth substance and a deep cavity filling, particularly in unlined cavities. It may also occur in unhealthy teeth, for example, where gas from putrefaction gathers in a small bubble. It can be extremely painful, and crew should ensure that their teeth are in good condition. The intestine is in two parts. The small intestine, which is about 27 feet long, completes the chemical decomposition and absorption of food. The large intestine, which is larger in diameter but is only about 5 foot long, does not decompose food. Instead, bacteria break down any proteins that have not been completely digested, and these are then excreted, together with undigested plant cell walls, minerals and water. Gastrointestinal gas is normal. Indeed, the volume of gas present in the intestine may be as high as 400 millilitres, caused by swallowing air, bacterial activity, and from exchange with the gases in the tissues and blood. Any increase in gases, or an increase in pressure within the body, as in the ascent, is vented naturally from the top and bottom of the intestine. But air in the small intestine may be more troublesome. A rapid increase or decrease in pressure may cause pain or discomfort. The problem can be mitigated by deliberately venting the excess gas. But the problem is best avoided, and this can be done by not eating foodstuffs known to be gas-producing, such as peas, beans, cauliflower, cabbage, high roughage food, and carbonated drinks. Last of all, as we look at barotraumas, is the case of plaster casts. Air within a cast may cause pain as it expands during an ascent. If in any doubt, the cast should be split open. It is generally accepted that gastrointestinal upsets are most frequently caused by poor food preparation procedures or unhygienic handling during serving and eating. Modern methods of food preparation follow the principles of hazard analysis and critical control points, or HACCP, a concept devised by NASA in the 1960s, whereby the caterer should identify 3 hazards: bacterial survival, bacterial growth, and the contamination of food by physical or chemical means. A flow chart is then prepared of the food's voyage through the kitchen. The hazards are identified and controls put in place. A control is designated as critical if no subsequent step in the operation will remove the hazard completely. For example, cooking raw food thoroughly is critical for the removal of salmonella, since if it is to be used as cold food, there will be no control mechanism later for the removal of the organism. Storage at the correct temperature and cooking for the required period are also essential to avoid food poisoning. In the kitchen, it is therefore essential to have no cross-contamination of cooked and uncooked foods, to separate clean and dirty equipment, and have hard, easily cleanable preparation surfaces. This is the ideal situation, but the standard of aircraft supplies and procedures will vary across the world, so great care must be taken with food stocked from or eaten in developing countries. The other major source of contamination is the food handler, be it the person cooking, the cabin crew, or the passenger. Hands contaminated with body fluids or fecal material are a frequent cause of illness, so everyone handling the food, at whatever stage, must adopt high cleanliness standards. Gastrointestinal disorders represent almost half the causes of incapacitation in flight. The onset of the disorder is usually abrupt and violent. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, loss of appetite and diarrhea, which can lead to rapid dehydration. Some foods pose greater risks than others, such as unwashed salads, unpeeled fruits, seafoods, and locally made ice cream and mayonnaise. Here are some of the precautions that crew can take when travelling abroad. Always eat in a clean environment. Eat in restaurants known to your company or hotel. Avoid raw fruit and vegetables, unless you peel them yourself. Avoid seafood. Avoid meat cooked rare. Drink only bottled water, and avoid ice cream made from local water. Allow 90 minutes between eating and flying to allow the onset of the first symptoms. Flight crew should eat different meals, and on the flight deck they should stagger their eating times. This lesson is not designed to give anything but the most basic information about diet, and no doubt the student will already appreciate that a balanced diet is the foundation of good health. A balanced daily intake of food would be in the proportions shown here. Click on the pie chart to reveal the food categories. Never miss breakfast. It is the most important meal of the day and should account for about 25% of your daily calories. Not eating and not exercising properly can lead to serious illnesses, such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes and cancer. Not eating regular meals or fasting can result in low blood sugar levels, hypoglycemia, which is a level below 50 milligrams in 100 millilitres of blood. The symptoms are headache, stomach pains, lack of energy, nervousness, shaking, sleepiness, fainting, lack of concentration. These symptoms usually disappear within 15 minutes after eating glucose, for example in a snack bar. Frequent hypoglycemic episodes, however, may be a symptom of diabetes, a chronic disease which results in a blood sugar deficiency. In the long term, it can lead to heart disease, kidney disease, and problems with eyesight. It can therefore be a bar to flying.